Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely smash what's called the dopamine trap. We'll be diving deep into Napoleon Hill's ultimate rules for consistency. These are timeless principles, but honestly, they have the absolute power to fundamentally alter your life's trajectory. Let's get right into it. So, the material we're looking at today asks a question that, let's be real, haunts pretty much all of us in our quietest moments. It cuts right to the core. Why do I start but never finish? It's a painful realization, right? But acknowledging those excuses, the ones we tend to bury our dreams under, well, that's the absolute first step. And hey, if you're asking yourself this, you are definitely not alone. Check out this divide. A staggering 97% of people spend their entire lives stuck in that exact same vicious cycle. Their mornings start off with this huge burst of hope. Their afternoons are just spent manufacturing excuses, and by nightfall, they're wrapped in a heavy blanket of regret. All that talent, all that potential just buried under three little words, starting from tomorrow. But today, we are zeroing in on the rare 3%. These are the relentless achievers who stand perfectly calm in the middle of a storm. And it's not because they found a magic lamp. It's because they operate on an ironclad rule. Now, before we uncover that rule, we really have to understand what modern psychology calls the dopamine trap. This is literally the monster holding your dreams hostage. Think about it. When you hear a wild new idea or watch an incredible motivational speaker, a massive wave of dopamine just floods your brain. You feel like you're going to conquer the world overnight. But by day 3, that chemical rush totally fades. Your body aches, your mind starts hunting for excuses, and suddenly you're just staring down a long, boring, foggy road. This right here is exactly where that 97% give up. They make the fatal mistake of confusing temporary fleeting excitement with actual discipline. Here's the absolute game changer. The people in that top 3%, they aren't made of some magical different clay, and they certainly don't have a secret 25th hour in their day. What they do have is the incredible power to completely embrace boredom. While the rest of the world sits around waiting for that fleeting feeling of motivation to strike, the 3% rely entirely on permanent systems. They have this astounding ability to just do the work that everyone else finds incredibly boring. When their brain is screaming, hey, let's skip today, their internal system roars back, no way, this is the exact moment we leave the crowd behind. Let me give you a practical example of how this plays out. Imagine a student who draws up this epic timetable 2 months before a big exam. For 2 days, they crush it, studying 10 hours straight. But on the third day, they figure, I've done enough. Day 4, a tiny distraction creeps in, and by day 5, they are right back in the crowd, living that same mediocre routine. Now, this lack of consistency isn't just a bad habit. It is literally the slow, silent murder of your self-confidence. Every single time you break a promise to yourself, you're dropping a brick of your own self-belief, until eventually, you just stop believing in yourself altogether. To fix this whole mess, Napoleon Hill left us an incredible framework, which boils down to 7 key principles. First up, you need a definite chief aim to stop your energy from just scattering everywhere. Second, organized planning to map out your steps. Third is persistence, which is basically the water for your seed of desire. Fourth, the mastermind group, because trying to walk the path to greatness entirely alone rarely works out. Fifth is programming your subconscious mind. Sixth is quick decision-making. And seventh, choosing action over overthinking. Now, while the source material dives into all 7 of these, for this explainer, we're really going to zoom in on the foundational principles that actually get you off the starting line. Let's look a little closer at that very first principle, having a definite chief aim. Honestly, the biggest reason we wander off track is simply that we don't actually know our destination. Saying, I want to be rich is a totally hollow wish. It's way too vague. But saying, I'm going to earn 1 lakh from my business in the next 12 months, or deciding to write exactly 200 words every single day to become an author, now that is a definite aim. When you take a massive goal and shatter it into tiny, specific pieces, you're building an organized plan that is almost impossible to fail. And that leads us perfectly into how this builds the third principle, persistence. The text shares this beautiful story about a simple artisan in a small village. He made this crazy vow to build a breathtaking temple on the highest, most difficult hill around. Of course, the villagers mocked him. They pointed out he had 0 wealth and no real tools. But you know what? He just completely ignored them and created one simple rule for himself. Every single morning, before sunrise, he'd go down to the river, load a single medium-sized stone onto his back, hike up that huge hill, and place it there. Just 1 stone. After a month, they were only 30 stones. After a year, it just looked like a confusing pile of rocks, and the villagers were all telling him he was totally wasting his life. But Cut to 5 years later. The villagers woke up to see the morning sun bouncing off a magnificent golden dome. This stunning, intricately carved temple was just standing there on the hill. The whole village ran up, completely astonished, begging to know how he pulled off this absolute miracle. The artisan just held out his torn, calloused hands and told them, "This is no magic. This is math. 1 stone a day." It's such a powerful reminder. Great works aren't born from a single day's massive explosion of effort. They're the result of thousands of tiny, invisible, continuous strikes. You really have to realize that time is actively conspiring against you. Every single day you delay, a little piece of your potential gets chipped away. Think about this. When the 97% reach the end of their lives, they are overwhelmingly crushed by one agonizing thought: I wish I had kept trying. And that kind of regret, it is deeper and way more bitter than any physical pain out there. It's like the old saying goes, the daily discipline you need to succeed weighs mere grams, but the ultimate regret of a wasted life, that weighs in tons. Now, the math behind this consistency is frankly staggering. The number 37 represents the absolute miracle of compounding. If you commit to getting just 1% better every single day, thanks to the magic of compound interest, you won't just be a little bit better by the end of the year, you will literally be 37 times better than when you started. I mean, that's not some mathematical parlor trick. It's the undeniable miracle of just showing up consistently. And here's the best part. This universal law of consistency applies to absolutely everything in human excellence. It's not just about money. For wealth, yeah, it's those small daily savings. But for health, a single day at the gym doesn't change a thing. But a 10-minute daily walk over 10 years, that gives you youthful energy well into your old age. For your mind, reading just 10 pages a day means you've absorbed an entire book's worth of knowledge in a year. Our minds are basically software programmed for comfort. They'll try to convince you the weather is bad or that you're just too tired. You've got to conquer that internal civil war and become the commander of your routines, not just a slave to your impulses. So, if you want to actually shift your identity and move from the 97% into that elite 3%, I want you to embrace this 90-day transformation plan. It's simple. For days 1 to 30, you focus purely on habit formation. Give it just 5 minutes daily. I don't care if there's a blizzard or an earthquake outside, those 5 minutes are sacred. The goal here isn't the final result, it's literally just the act of showing up. Then, days 31 to 60, you undergo an identity shift. You aren't just doing the action anymore, you become it. You start telling yourself, I am someone who exercises daily, or I am a reader. Finally, by days 61 to 90, the momentum magic really kicks in. You won't even need to push yourself anymore. You'll basically be an unstoppable train hurtling forward at 100 miles per hour. So here we are. You are standing at a crossroads right now. One path is super crowded, and we know exactly where it leads, straight to regret. But the other path, it starts with sweat and discipline, sure, but it ends at the absolute summit of your potential. So the next time that little voice in your head whispers, hey, let's just do it tomorrow, remember that history only remembers the people who actually finish. So I'll leave you with this. Will you pick up your first stone today?